Hello, everyone. It's Art Russell here at Think Twice on YouTube and thinktwice.me at wordpress.com. This video actually has a twofold purpose behind it. The first is to relate information related to our essential nature beyond name and form, and the second is to relate information about the law of attraction. With regard to our identity, there's a great deal of confusion. Now, some viewers may think, thank you very much, I know who I am. But if that's the case, I'd just like to ask you to listen to some of the information that I'm about to share. From our appearance on Earth, we've been conditioned to believe that we are the person. Now, most of us would probably get to a point where we would say that what makes up the person is a collection of beliefs, thoughts, sensations, history, a whole bunch of definitions bound together in which we form an idea of being a person, images. Now, the second perspective, our higher self, would be that when we awaken to our higher self, that we are consciousness in which the body and the mind appear. Now, I'm going to make use of a little prop that I bought to see if this can help us understand it. So we're really looking at two paradigms, which means mold or example, of reality. The first that we've been conditioned to is a matter-based paradigm. We normally look out at the world through or within a perspective in which we believe this is matter-based in a world of matter that is framed wherever we look. Now, the consciousness-based reality, paradigm of reality, has it this way. The entire body of us, even though we can't see the back perspective, we're not equipped that way, our eyes point forward, would be that this body is an appearance in consciousness. So the way we've been conditioned, we believe that this body is a long-lasting, independent body born into time and space. And this view, the consciousness model of reality, would be that the body is within consciousness. So we're really looking at materialist paradigm where things are made of matter, including the body, or a consciousness model of reality. So we're all very familiar with the first paradigm of reality. We're given a name, we're very young, we learn it, then we learn to identify that as being who we are, in my case, Art Russell. But let's show a couple of examples here that may help at least get you to question your identity. Now, why is this important? For a couple of reasons. The first is related to the person. If we identify with being the person, that perspective is going to ultimately suffer. And we all know this. Life is good one day, 1 week, 1 year, and the next day, week, or year, life may have us in very trying, challenging circumstances. Now, if you believe that you are the person, your perspective is that you're in that matter-based world, and circumstances feel very, very real. If your character suffers, you feel that you suffer. So let's look at an example of a mirage. When a mirage apparently appears in a desert, let's say you were wandering over the desert and you needed water. As you walk towards that mirage, perhaps of an oasis there with palm trees and there's water, and as you walk closer to it, as you examine it, as you get clearer about the substance of that mirage, none of us are surprised to know that, oh, it's a figment of the mind. The second example relates to our nighttime dreams, and there's confusion about that. As persons apparently go to bed at night, as the mind winds down, dream state occurs, and the persons are left in the morning believing that, those dreams occurred in my mind, which they believe occurs in the brain. Now, what's really happening is that consciousness, we realize in the morning that all the appearances, the wild characters, the wild occurrences, every event, every object that seems so solid had to be generated by the mind. Right? We don't question it, but we just go, whew, thank God that was only a dream. Maybe there was something terrible that happened, or maybe if you wanted the dream to continue, you wished it had. But ultimately, we awaken from that. Now, the assumption is when we see the body arise in the morning, we go back to that matter-based paradigm of reality. Now, and we believe without any doubt that we are the person walking in time and space. Now, the consciousness paradigm of reality would be that time, space, all events, all characters, all objects are created by consciousness in the same way that events were created in our nighttime dreams. Now, for those who may be questioning us and go, okay, they're ready to turn to a different channel, just consider this. Science also backs this up. Let's go to this. So in 1911, Ernest Rutherford discovered that atoms, which were once thought to be the building blocks of so-called material world, were 99.999% empty space. They're more appropriately called whirling clouds of energy. Now, another experiment that helps validate the consciousness model of reality is the double slit experiment, which was first performed in 1801 by Thomas Young. Now, he discovered that light was a wave, not a particle. But in further experiments along the years, into the early 1900s, they discovered that light was more like a wave of probability. It could behave like particle, the smallest particle in existence, or light. And it changed. If you take a look at the double slit experiment on YouTube, on TV, you'll see that it changed with something that is often tied to the observer effect, meaning what we're expecting to show up shows up. Now, that throws a lot of people it definitely has us question reality. Einstein was quoted as saying something similar to, I still believe, now he was not a believer in the double slit or quantum physics, that the moon existed there when he and all the other population of the world was not looking at it. But that's the catch with this. We know objects through or via the mind. Now, the assumption is in the matter-based paradigm of reality, we believe that all these things that are seen in this field of vision exist independent of the mind. Now, a quote from the Tibetan Book of the Dead points directly opposite to that. It says, all phenomena only exist in the mind that perceives them. So that's much like dream. In the morning, no one expects to find evidence of last night's dream. If you dreamed you're on a horse, there's not a saddle on your bed. Let's put it that way. So this is what we're up against, and it's about what we really are, not who. Matter-based paradigm of reality would have people believing that they are the character, which is actually created by consciousness. It would be that we have not awakened to our true self, which is actually eternal consciousness, unborn, so therefore it doesn't die. So fears about existence, the end of existence, evaporate. We also tend to take circumstances in this realm. It becomes more of a realm with the consciousness-based paradigm of reality, are taken much more lightly. This is why we have books such as The Incredible Lightness of Being. When we know we're living from a perspective in which things aren't taken quite so personally, then we can enjoy more the ride of our life experiences. Okay, let's move on to some quotes. The first one is from James Jeans, who was a British physicist, astronomer, and mathematician, famous for a book called This Mysterious Universe. Here's the quote. The stream of knowledge is heading towards a non-mechanical reality. The universe begins to look more like a great thought than like a machine. Mind no longer appears to be an accidental intruder into the realm of matter. We ought rather hail it as the creator and governor of the realm of matter. The next quote is from Paramahansa Yogananda. He was a guru who came to the West and introduced Kriya Yoga. He's famous for that and his deeper understanding of the nature of reality. From a book entitled The Law of Success, it was a law of attraction book that I read, we have the following quote. Mind is the creator of everything. Everything. All events, all objects, all persons. You have a character in a nighttime dream, don't you? And it seems quite real during the dream. In enlightenment, the perspective of enlightenment, you waken up from the delusional belief that you ever were the person, and you recognize yourself as an eternal being. Let's go to some quotes from Neville Goddard. He was a Barbadian New Thought author, a mystic, and he lectured about the wisdom of the Bible. Here's a couple of his quotes. All things exist in the human imagination, and all phenomena are solely produced by imagining. That's from a book entitled Imagination, the Redemptive Power in Man. Here's another quote of his. Things have no reality other than in consciousness. Therefore, get the consciousness first, and the thing is compelled to appear. That's from Neville Goddard's interpretation of Scripture. And moving on, let's go to Rupert Spira, one of my favorite teachers about non-duality. He wouldn't really like to be called a teacher. He's not trying to get us to believe anything. I'd like you to know, too, that this perspective, the second one, consciousness-only model of reality, can be directly experienced. It's not a belief that we adopt. We know it. We know it. Now, it cannot be related to someone else. They have to find their own journey to that which they truly are. It's really about having the veil of ignorance lifted from us so that we can see clearly. Rupert Spira, he's a noted author and speaker about the nature of consciousness and our essential nature. Here's one of his quotes. It is not the body that contains awareness and separates it from the world, but rather our true body, which is awareness itself, non-local awareness. You can't point to where it is. It's non-local. That contains the body, mind, and the world, in which it makes this experience seem like a dream. But it's a dream that's witnessed. Who is the real witness? What is the witness? We can't express it, but we can know it. That was from The Intimacy of All Experience. And here's another quote from that same book. There is no difference in our actual experience between the substance of an apple that appears in memory and the substance of an apple that appears in real time. Our only knowledge of both is made out of mind, out of seeing, touching, smelling, and tasting. And the substance of mind is only awareness, appearances, in much the same way that appearances occur in our nighttime dreams. Our characters move, they interact with other characters. Seems very real. Let's move on. Here's another quote, this time from Charles F. Hennell. He was a businessman, psychical investigator, and best-selling author. This quote that I'm about to read is taken from the Master Key System, which is a famous law of attraction book published in 1912 as a correspondence course, and I believe it came out in book form in 1916. Here's the quote. It is the few who know that the things which they see are only effects, and understand the causes by which these effects were brought into existence. Now, I'd like to offer my own pointer to truth that really worked wonders for my perspective, put together with some information from Rupert Spira. A deeper understanding of how eyesight works can take us much deeper. Deeper. Okay. When we understand that the eyes are really more like windows, they allow light to enter, which is then through a series of processes, chemical and neural, turned into images that we see. Now, those images are projected as though there's an outer world. That's an assumption. Anything that we see is a representational form. We can't escape that. So it's an assumption with the mind through which we perceive. Now, here's the difference too. If we're thinking that we're perceiving of a world, that's assuming that it stands out there. If it's just perception, then there's the world. Now let's bring in how this relates to how we create, because this is another part of this video that I hope will be useful. When we believe that we are the person, we are limited to that level of creation. We would believe we're the character, we have to work very hard, maybe know certain people, have connections, that kind of thing, to make our dreams come true. The second paradigm of reality, consciousness-based only, would be that what is impressed into the mind, accepted by the subconscious as being real, will be made apparently real in our experience, in the dream of human life. Now, for those that are balking at this, I'd like you to just consider, and I'm sure you've heard of the placebo effect, when a fake pill may be made of sugar, comprised of sugar only. Or in the old days before there was so much law involved, a procedure, a fake procedure involved, and a patient, in many great number of cases, was healed. Healed by a sugar pill? Yes, because mind is the creator of everything. And what the subconscious believes, it will create for you as an apparent experience in a dream. That's the placebo effect. The nocebo effect is the negative of that. When someone is told, usually from a person in high authority, a doctor, someone, if it's about their physical condition, that you've only got so long to live. If that belief is accepted, the mind will create that effect. Anyway, I hope this has given you something to consider today. If you'd like to find out more information, you can do so at my blog at thinktwice.me. You can find free articles there. And you can also find more information through my book entitled This Taste of Flesh and Bones, which is available through Amazon. Bye for now. We'll talk again soon.